On this season of Career Day with Friends, find out what it's like to be a stunt performer for Marvel Studios.
So they strapped me into the armored car where I just have cash just rolling in the back, just flying everywhere.
What it's like managing media relations for professional athletes.
It's like negotiating with a toddler sometimes.
Or jamming out at a famous celebrity's house.
He had his Grammy Award on the back of the toilet.
And so much more.
Now and then they would let out a gas that smelled like chili cheese dogs.
Went to Graceland for the anniversary of Elvis's death.
I would have them do some drills I saw from the Navy SEALs.
Sitting there with binoculars and staring at baboon butts all day. And
the one and the one make two. Oh, yeah. When they come together, it's only greatness, brother. The cream of the cream.
I'm your host, Ryan Haynes, and this is Career Day with Friends. Hello there, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Career Day with Friends. And today we have a truly incredible guest. He's a pickleball enthusiast. He's a Marvel diehard, a new dad, and oh yeah, a professional stuntman and actor. One of the funniest, kindest, and most handsome guys you'll ever meet, Mr. Kage Yami. How are you today, man?
I am doing really, really well. A little tired since I'm, like you said, a new dad, but I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I mean, I woke you up early on a Sunday as a new dad. Like I knew what I was getting myself into. So if you have to yawn a few times, stretch it out a little bit, I'm totally cool with that, man.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I was up since 5 a.m. taking care of, my daughter. And then we are going to hit the road to go to New York I recently booked a co-starring role. So I'm super pumped for that, but we'll be heading to New York around, I think, noonish. So that'll be fun.
Dude, congratulations. That's so awesome. This is your first one, right?
Yeah, my first co-starring role. At first, it was just like, hey, are you available for one day for stunts? And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. And then all of a sudden, I guess the casting director was just like, hey, we need you on a Zoom audition. And I was like, sure. I thought this was just stunts. And they had me read for lines, and they were like, okay, we'll be in touch. I was like, okay, kind of weird. And then the next thing I know, like wardrobe's like texting me saying, hey, we need you for fitting. I'm like, I just finished the audition. Like, did I get the role? Please pause on that. I think I might have jumped the gun. I'm like, oh, okay. And the next thing you know, the second AD, the assistant director, was just like, hey, welcome to the episode. We wanted to let you know that you have this on your benefits for when you're shooting with us. These are the dates you're going to be shooting. And yeah, here are your lines. And I was like, oh, that's okay. Thank you.
So is that how it works? Is like there's nothing direct about it. It's just like, hey, you're gonna just rehearse these lines and don't like ask any other questions. Okay, yep, cool. And here's this information, but you don't need to know anything about it yet. Is that kind of how it works?
For stunts, that's how it works. For acting, I'm still new to the acting field, but I don't think they do things like that. Like, I'm pretty sure you have to audition for the role. You then have to get a call back and like, hey, the director kind of liked you. Now do it in front of the director and see how you do. The director's going to give you notes and see how you handle note taking. And then if they still like you after all that stuff, like they want you on board, they want to send you through a seated table read, and then go through the process of like, all right, book them, have them come on set, and that's how they'll rehearse before they do the actual shoot. For stunts, it's like, hey, are you available for this day? I'm like, sure. I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing until 5 minutes before they shoot. And it's just like, I just hope I'm ready. So I have to pad up, put my safety gear on, and it's just like, all right, what do you need me to do? I need you to drive this car. I'm like, I didn't really need to pad up then, but okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Now, can you tell us anything about this project that you're going to be working on, or is it kind of like hush hush?
It depends on when the episode's gonna get released, but for I'll tell you this much: it's supposed to be hush hush. It is FBI. Wow. On CBS. I don't know if it's Most Wanted, because I know there's two FBI series out there. There's FBI and then FBI Most Wanted. I think this is just plain FBI.
Dude, congratulations. That's so huge. That's awesome. I'm so I'm really excited that you just found out this information like 2 days ago, and now I kind of get to like release that to the world. So,
Yeah.
breaking news here. So, all right, man, we're gonna get into like some questions about your experience in the stunt field as a whole, kind of your start to where you are now, and then you can touch on like any other projects you're doing towards the end. I'll kind of fit that in as well. And some of these questions is just like some are serious, some are not so serious. We're just gonna have like, I don't know, a lot of fun here, I think. Cool. How did all of this come about? Now, I listened to, you were on an episode of Ask the Dropouts. I looked up that podcast. I listened to it. It's actually a great interview. You were on that a few years ago. You didn't go to stunt school. You had limited experience when you went into this field. Like, what did those early years look like, and what did that struggle look like?
Oh, it was tough because I mean, you've known me since high school, and you know that this is probably something I've said that I've wanted to do since I was in elementary school. Like I knew that I wanted to be a stuntman ever since I watched Jackie Chan and any action movie for that matter. And once I graduated college, I know my parents asked me to continue my education to get a doctorate degree in psychology, but I was like, I'm sorry, but I've put way too much time into education. I want to focus on my dreams now. And I went 100% into it. So because of that, I made that short film that you guys saw in the beginning of the intro video, Unattainable. And that won a lot of, it turned a lot of heads in Hollywood. Like, hey, this is a college production. This is nice. This is really good. So that really opened the doors for me to already be in the film industry. And I got my first stunt job just by working background on set. And because of that, I listened to every stunt guy that I followed, every stunt guy that I met, and like all the bits of pieces of information just came together to get me to work on the amazing Spider-Man 2 up in New York. And I was so green when it came to stunts because I had just graduated college. I know nothing of the set life. So all my set etiquette was just like, this is background set etiquette. I don't know what stunt people's set etiquette was. And it was just interesting. Like for background, you're not supposed to be using your cell phones to take pictures of like the actors or anything like that. And if we do, you have to keep it hush hush. But with some people, it's like, oh, sweet. You see that car over there? That's all wrecked. That's awesome. Click. Oh, hey, can I get a picture with the actors that I'm doubling? Selfie. And it's just like, that's insane. And like the directors see it, the all productions assistants see it, and they're always supposed to like yell at you, hey, put your phones away. But they're like, oh, hey, let me take the picture for you. The world of like background people and stunts is just two different worlds. Well, I didn't go to stunt school that taught you everything you needed to know to do general stunts, but I did go to like, hey, this is a stunt driving school. We'll teach you how to slide in level A, and level B will teach you how to drift. I went to like a rappelling school to learn how to rappel down a helicopter, as well as like scaffolding off buildings. So they'll teach you all that stuff while you're doing the intensive training.
Okay, so like almost more like getting a certificate in a certain job as opposed to like getting a whole degree.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. And now, was this like a time in your life where you're just like bouncing around, sleeping on other people's couches, like trying to find somewhere to live, food to eat, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So in the stunt world, we have a saying like it takes 5 years for you to get yourself established, and I think for the most part, it did take 5 years. I know I left college in 2012. I graduated 2012, and I didn't really start seeing steady flow of work until about 2016, 2017. And that's honestly about the 5 year mark.
Yeah.
And that's when I could say like, hey, I was getting 1 gig a month. And you guys might think like, hey, 1 day a month of work is like not a lot. But to me, who's just starting out, who's not living in the heart of New York or in the heart of Atlanta or in the heart of LA, that was enough for me to make rent, buy my mom and dad a washer and dryer, and just live my own life and go through training.
Yeah, it's the amount that like one gig can just make a difference like that, because you're only going to have like one day of work, and then you're going to have, or 2 days of work, or whatever that looks like. Then you're going to have like a month, 2 months. You don't know when your next gig is going to be.
With this year that we just had, I had no work for I think 2 years, to be honest. And then I got to a point where like, hey, I just had my daughter. I'm gonna have an adult job. I'm gonna go and apply. I'm gonna go interview, and I'll have a steady job. Already, like, I'm in my 2 month and 2 week mark into my job, and I'm just like, I have to quit because all the work is coming back.
I love that you have dedicated yourself to that career and you've prioritized it. So it's like, yeah, if a big opportunity comes along, I have to take that big opportunity. That doesn't seem like an easy thing to do, and that's not something that like someone like me I could do, just kind of, especially with all of the responsibilities. You already touched on, like, you have your home, you have your family, you have this, you have that. So you're taking these big risks, but you're driven and you're motivated and you're able to kind of stay focused on the ultimate goal, right? And I absolutely respect that.
Thank you. Well, it also comes with the community that I have around me. I have you, who's always so supportive ever since high school. I have my wife and my kid, and all my close friends and family members. And they weren't always supportive, especially my mom and dad. But, they finally like gave in and was just like, let him do his thing. He knows what he's doing. Let's just shut up and let him just watch him grow.
So since that point, your credits include, you already touched on The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Daredevil, Punisher. You had roles in the 2016 Ghostbusters film. You were in Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. What project would you say is the most memorable to you, and why?
I mean, I can't really say no to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It was my first gig, but I want to try to beat that. I think, honestly, being in Free Guy was really overwhelming, but like in a good way. I had originally worked with Ryan Reynolds on R.I.P.D. His one of his hit films, R.I.P.D. was filmed up in Boston.
Yeah,
and I had this thing where they have a saying, "Never meet your heroes." I met Ryan Reynolds, and he was the biggest douchebag. It was just, I was working alongside with Kevin Bacon. I was just a background extra who was on the verge of getting bumped to being stunts, which was going to be the highlight of my life, because that would have been my first stunt job. But he calls out to Kevin, "Hey, Kevin, my name's Kevin." "Oh, yes, what's up?" It's just like, "Not you, you idiot, Bacon." I was like, right, that's right. Why would he call me? Yeah, I'm so sorry. So then we go to Crafty, and I go and grab like a tea and coffee, and Mr. Bacon comes up next to me and is like, "Hey, I like your name." And I was just like, oh my God. So I've got that negative impression of Ryan Reynolds already, and I'm like, dude, I love this guy. I love how funny he is, but I just met him on set today, and he was the biggest douchebag. Like, what the I met him again on Free Guy, and he sees me as this like they call it ND stunts. So I'm just like the random action stunt people in the background just doing dangerous work. Like, hey, he's going to get lit on fire in the background. But in my case, I was supposed to just ride a Lamborghini that drifts into the scene as a passenger. And he's like, no, he looks too good. Let's have him shooting a gun out of the bank car. So they strap me into the armored car where I just have cash just rolling in the back, just flying everywhere. And I'm shooting an AK-47 down the financial district in Boston. And I was just like, this is way better than being a passenger.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so it kind of like you kind of swayed your opinion of him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he was just doing his job. Technically, his character in RPD is the douchebag. So he went from playing that role to playing the nice guy in Free Guy. And I was like, I think he's just in character the whole entire time, which is awesome because I don't think he's method. He's just in the zone 24/7.
stunt that you have performed? And then what was that process like? So, like, what safeguards were in place? How many takes did it require? And just like, how do you prepare yourself mentally for something so risky?
So I'll give you two situations. The first situation, it wasn't that dangerous of a stunt, but it was the most injured I've ever been. And this was actually the intro video you saw, where I was wearing the motorcycle protective vest and then carrying a sword. Simple stunt. All I had to do was go on a table, maybe like 4 or 5 feet high, and just do a backflip off that. I could easily do that any day. But then you hand me a metal sword in my hand, and I freaked out. So there I was, just standing there, and I'm like, all right, second guessing myself. I'm not confident anymore. You know what? I'm gonna do what Jackie does. Just roll the cameras, and I'll just do it. Cameras rolling. I jump off 5 feet, and I jump off really high. I did not flip at all, and I landed straight on my lower back.
Oh.
And that's on hardwood floor. So thank God it's hardwood instead of concrete.
Concrete, yep.
Yeah. So all the camera people saw that, and this is a college production, so there's very limited amount of people. Everyone's wearing multiple hats just to get this project done. I told them, give me like 15 minutes on the ground, that's all. And the whole entire time, I was just like in the most miserable pain on the cold, cold hardwood floor in November. And I was just like, we didn't even start the fight scene yet. So I'm going to be doing the fight scene in so much pain. That was not that dangerous, but it was also the most dangerous because I was super injured and I had to put my acting face on and just be like, yep, I'm not hurt at all. Let's do this. But one of my most dangerous stunts that I've ever done was on a professional set was Iron Fist. This was Iron Fist season 2. And the way that they were describing this scene was like, hey, Iron Fist comes out. He realized that there's something going on in the background. So he's going to punch the table and use his fist. And the table's going to fly back. But all you henchmen are going to get pulled back and pulled into these like real barrels in the background. That's actually really cool. I don't know what you said.
That was awesome. I don't know what just happened, but that was fantastic.
Yeah, so they were describing that scene, and I was like, I'm putting my camera hat on. I'm like, so the camera breaks. The table breaks. The table gets pulled back. There's going to be pyro and fireworks, and then the barrels itself are going to get crushed and smushed. You guys don't have time to reset because this is like a one-day shoot only. Is this a one-shot take? The director comes out to me and is just like, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, it's a one-shot take. So don't mess up. And I was like, oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. It was a one-shot take. It was also a very dangerous take because you're getting pulled by wires there's like 10 of us getting pulled by 10 other stunt riggers just to have the shot done. So none of us can mess up at all. You can't pull too hard. You can't pull too light. You have to pull the perfect amount. When you're flying, the director ended up saying, hey, when you fly, and you're in the midair, I know it's hard to change your direction, but I need your feet to kick and hit this other stunt guy at the same time. And I was like, okay. So I'm getting pulled back. I have to kick this guy while in midair. And then when I fall, he wants me to be the only stunt guy that's alive and get back up to try to fight Iron Fist. And I was like, great. Awesome. One shot take. Let's do this.
So my wife and I were watching a documentary. I think it was on like a stuntman in Harry Potter or stunt crew in Harry Potter, which is really intense. But it seemed like the allotted time to develop a new skill was fairly limited. So if you think about like an Olympic gymnast or a figure skater or a high jumper, like it takes years to perform those difficult skills at an elite level. How much time do you usually have to practice and develop a new stunt?
I would say 1 week. If you deep dive into any type of, especially like a martial arts movie, they get 1 week prior to that scene to develop that scene, rehearse, get they call it previs, which is short for pre-visualization. They'll hire like 5 random stunt guys to fight the hero, and the hero himself is a stunt person. They'll shoot that scene, they'll edit that scene, they'll send it to the director. I'm like, hey, does this look good for your film? And he's like, oh yeah, perfect. I don't like any of those stunt guys. I don't like how they look at all. Hire 5 new stunt guys for the film, and I want them tall, or I want them short because our hero is short. And okay, I got you. So you went from hiring 5 stunt guys for pre-visualization to now 5 new stunt guys that has to learn that pre-visualization and perform it on that day. But for the most part, 1 week. There are days where it's like, hey, you have 1 day. We are going to learn it today, and we're going to shoot it today.
See,
But
that's insane
yeah,
to me. That's insane to me. It's just like, how do you? First of all, you have to develop the skill, but then you also, again, mentally you have to be confident in what you're doing, and to establish that confidence in such a short period of time is insane. Like, you saw Simone Biles at the Olympics doing something that she had practiced over and over and over again for years, and still struggled to actually like mentally get in the right zone.
yeah.
And now you're like, hey, stuntman, 1 day, learn this, 1 week, learn this, and
Yeah.
do it confidently. This is insane, Kage. It's absolutely insane.
There's a short film that actually, it's a feature film that I ended up doing, but it was never ever released. It's called Wukong Warriors. And there was one fight scene where I'm fighting 20 different bad guys, and I had to learn it 1 day prior, which was fine. Because I think one of the best skills that any stunt guy could ever get is the ability to memorize movements. So, like, if you can break any fight scene is basically a dance. If you can memorize the beats and memorize what you're supposed to do in those beats, it's gonna come to you real easily. But during that 20-man fight scene, they had like changed the day of, and I was like, I already just memorized what I'm supposed to do with each individual person that's all wearing a hood. So they're all looking very similar. I just had to point in that direction, do my sword fight, but then they changed it last second, and it was just like people are hitting my fingers, and you're gonna have to fight through the pain just to get the scene done because you can't break character. It's really difficult, but if you don't have that skill of like, hey, beats, 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 everything's a dance, 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 rhythm, 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 then that's gonna be your best friend when you're working on set for doing stuff.
All right, so I'm going to pivot to a different type of conversation here. So still along the stunt lines, but in 2017, you were profiled in the Boston Globe. So in the article, you had talked about it's Hollywood, and though it's slowly changing and making strides towards the representation of what it's like to be an individual, this is a direct quote, I'm usually the stereotype. So since that point in 2017, so there's been an historic number of award-winning films with primarily Asian-led casts. So you had Crazy Rich Asians, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Joyride, The Farewell. Do you feel like you're still kind of stuck playing a particular type of character? Or have you noticed doors opening that may have been closed even 7, 8, 9 years ago?
In the stunt world, I'm still playing the stereotypical triad, Yakuza, Asian gang member. I mean, this next co-star role, I'm an Asian gang member. So I still feel like I'm still playing those roles. When it comes to acting, though, I have noticed a huge difference when it comes to auditioning and directors looking at you. They're saying, hey, can you get rid of that Asian accent? And I was like, no way. Really? I can speak normally? All right, sweet. This is great. And I've noticed that directors are even like opening their minds to like, no, we don't mind having an ethnic couple in this scene. So you can have an Asian guy and we can have an African American girl, and you two are the couple. I'm like, oh, cool. And that's happened for a lottery commercial I did. So I was super stoked for that. So I have noticed a huge difference when it comes to the acting realm, but for the action realm, I think that's still it's going to be pretty stereotypical for the longest time. I don't think I've ever played a non-smart, dramatic Asian guy yet to double.
It just seems like in that action world, it's still like you're Jackie Chan or you're Bruce Lee or you're one of those other characters. I want to pivot to, before you go, you just mentioned it. This, I don't even want to call it a hobby, but your pickleball career. You have recently become a sponsored pickleball player, am I right?
That's right.
Okay, what does that entail? How do you become sponsored? Are you now on a team? Are you in a league? Like, what's that look like?
So I'm currently sponsored by Gearbox, and Gearbox produces one of the most powerful hitting paddles out there on the market right now to this day. There's no paddle that comes close to the power that this paddle has, and it's still legal in tournaments. You also don't ever see this paddle in the professional tournaments, which is weird because no one can handle it, in my opinion. But yeah, I started pickleball when not the pandemic, the strike happened in our union.
Mm-hmm.
I had nothing to do, and I was like, well, I'm tired of training martial arts and other stuff. I want to pick up a new hobby. And I've always made fun of pickleball because it looks silly. You're playing with a wiffle ball and a paddle.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from tennis, so I was one of those tennis elitists that was just like, screw pickleball. I picked it up, went to Bristol Community College, and I will always remember Bristol Community College as like my foundation for pickleball. And the whole community was just so welcoming to a noob like me. And I played, extremely addicting from the very first hour that I played. It went from 1 hour of play, exhausted, come back the next day, 2 hours, exhausted, and then I'm playing 4 times a day. Not 4 times a day, I'm sorry, 4 times a week to double sessions every single day. And then I started looking for work in the pickleball industry. I was like, hey, I think pickleball is going to be huge. I mean, it's America's fastest growing sport from what I'm told.
Yeah, Tom Brady is like an investor in the league, right? It's like a major investor. Yeah.
A lot of people are actually huge investors in pickleball, and I'm like, that's awesome. I have a feeling that this is going to be the new DraftKings betting for like which team wins what. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll ever go pro in pickleball, but it's just fun showcasing my play style in pickleball. And I think that was the number one reason that Gearbox decided to sponsor me, because once I told them that I was a stunt performer and that when I play pickleball, I'm the only guy that dives and rolls, and I jump really, really high, and I'm able to just jump up, smash the ball like it's nothing. And they saw videos of me playing, and they're like, sponsor this guy. He's not like a super 5.0 player, but I want him on our team.
We're going to wrap it up here. Before we do that, what do you have going on? What are some of these new projects? I know you touched on the FBI show, the lead role. That's super exciting. Anything else in the works, and where can we find it if you do?
So Art School Dropout is actually making, it's still in production, a full-length feature called, oh my gosh, I forgot. It's in the VR world. So I bring out a little bit of my live action acting as well as my stunts in the VR world, which is interesting. And then my voice acting during the VR world as well. So I'm super stoked for that project to be done and finished. And I think you guys are going to really like it a lot, especially for the kids who play Rec Room. And yeah, that's been a 2-year-long production, and it's really good. Like, it's really, really good.
And where can you find that when it's out?
I'm pretty sure Art School is going to release it on their YouTube, so check them out at Art School Dropouts, youtube.com/Art School Dropouts.
Perfect. All right, so this is how we're going to end it. First of all, I appreciate you coming on. This is so much fun. You're just an awesome dude. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you keep kicking butt. When the episode comes out, please let me know. I'd love to watch it. I'm gonna fire off a number of rapid fire questions, and I just want you to answer as briefly as possible.
Okay.
All right. So, top 3 Marvel movies of all time.
Deadpool, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Spider-Man: No Way Home. That has to be right there.
That's 3. Most underrated Marvel movie.
Blade,
Okay. Favorite Jackie Chan movie.
Rush Hour,
All right. Yes. Top 3 Linkin Park songs or your favorite album.
Paper Cut, Somewhere I Belong, and Numb.
Guilty pleasure.
Pickleball.
Okay, that's fair. Scale of 1 to 10. Where do you rate your cross court dink?
I am a terrible dinker. 5.
Want your best Hollywood impression? Go.
All right, so here's the deal, guys. On the day, I want you to come out guns a-blazing. Can we get the wardrobe in here? Waiting on wardrobe. All right, people, places, let's go. Sound, speed, ready. Shut. All right, check the gates, check the gates. Gates are good. All right, that's a wrap.